young Indian professionals of New England. Today, I am bringing you a very accomplished young Indian professional from whom we're going to hear his success story and learn how to overcome obstacles and succeed in life. I have the great pleasure to introducing you to Mr. Jay Thuli, who is the president of Leader Bank and founder of ZSuite Technologies. In the last decade, Leader Bank has become one of the largest residential lenders in Massachusetts. They have grown to $4 billion in assets and with over 400 team members. Mr. Jay Thuli graduated magna cum laude from Georgetown University with a double major in finance and technology management and a minor in economics. He has earned his MBA from Harvard Business School in 2011. Thank you so much, Jay Thuli, to come to our interview for today.
Happy to be here, Niharika. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And also, I want to congratulate you for being in the 2023 Boston Most Influential Asian American Pacific Islanders list. That is an amazing accomplishment, and it is totally inspiring to see you on the list because it inspires me as well. So thank you so much and congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. So first of all, could you please share your professional success story and let our young professionals know how you got to where you are today at such a young age?
Yes. So I'll work backwards if that works. So actually my father started Leader Bank in 2002, and I was working in investment banking at that time.
Oh, wow.
And I was I'd worked at JP Morgan, and then I worked for another investment bank. And I was just exhausted with the long hours. And I remember me and him talking on the bank was like in year 2 of the operations, really small bank. And we sort of had a conversation like, hey, why don't you leave and come join me, and we can do this together. And if it doesn't work out, you can always get a job again. And so I did. And so I joined in 05. I think at that time the bank was like 20 or 30 people.
Oh, wow.
And we've just had like an amazing ride for the last 16 years. Never looked back. Before that, how I got into investment banking is a really interesting story. When I was at Georgetown, like a lot of finance majors, I wanted to work on Wall Street. I didn't get a lot of Wall Street interviews, but I got one with JP Morgan. And during the interview, they were asking me like what my extracurricular activities were and stuff like that. And it just so happened back then, this was in the early 2000s. We started a South Asian theater group at Georgetown. And we were performing all around the country, and we were talking about like intergenerational like issues of being like born in America but parents from India and them not understanding us, and kind of like Muslim Hindu relationships and just like all that type of meaty stuff.
I can totally understand that. I'm also an American born Indian as well, so I totally understand how we're trying to stay connected to the Indian culture, but like it's so hard because we're born here.
Totally. So I had we had a play coming up that weekend, and I was practicing for it. So in the interview, they asked me, what else do you do besides school? And I mentioned this theater group, and they said, all right, well, perform something for us like right now.
Yeah.
So I performed this like skit. I was doing some kind of a comedic skit about this guy who just moved to America and trying to get his American Express card, blah, blah. And they were laughing so hard, they said, come back in an hour for a second round interviews. So in that hour, I was like, okay, I got to study my formulas, discounted cash flow analysis, all this stuff. I go there, and the guy's like, look, whatever you just did for me like an hour ago, now I have my boss here, do it again, perform it again. So I did that, and like literally that's how I got the job.
Oh, wow.
And, I did an internship at JP Morgan, and then I got a full-time offer after. I always tell that story because you don't know like what things you do, where they will lead to.
Yeah, exactly.
But for me, that experience at Georgetown, kind of running this theater group, traveling to different universities, figuring out how to sell tickets online and market the show and lead a team. I mean, these were like a lot of skills I didn't know I was picking up, but they were really transformative for me.
Oh, wow. Sometimes the things happen when you least expect it.
Totally.
Oh, wow, that's impressive. I'm inspired by that too. So, what inspired you to associate yourself with the financial industry?
I always loved like finance and numbers. I think like I really enjoy numbers. I've always loved like Excel spreadsheets. Um, but for me, actually, it's not even really about financial services. Like I like growing things. So
Yeah.
I happen to be at a bank, but if I were not, I would probably be just as happy. It's more about like what I'm doing there. So something that is impacting people, something I can grow, create new products, spin out new businesses. Um, I always say like I feel like you know I've had a more of an entrepreneurial journey. I just happened to
Yeah.
be banking. I don't really like feel necessarily as like a banker per se.
Makes sense. No, that's impressive. So what motivates you to achieve more incredible things in your professional life?
I think that probably motivates me the most is being able to grow, continue to like learn more. It's exciting when you like have an idea and you put energy behind it and you get people rallied around it and then you see it happen. Like that's
Yeah.
just like my favorite thing.
No, that's definitely such an important thing. Like you get inspired by those that are right in front of you. So
Yeah,
when you see people getting excited to do things, you obviously want to be more excited and take things to greater lengths, which is totally what I'm experiencing with my organization as well. With the young people
absolutely.
professionals, I'm seeing so many people get riled up, as you said, and
Yeah.
getting more inspired and more excited to network with other professionals. So I can definitely see that on my side of things as well too.
Yeah, and it just, like for you, I'm sure you get a lot of energy from it. And you're like, okay, well, what if we do this? We could get
Yeah.
bigger or attract more people to the organization. And the fun thing is like along the way in that journey, you grow a lot yourself because you have to
Yes.
keep developing your own skills to keep leading the organization to the new
Yeah.
path. So that's kind of um, one of the things I've heard is you want to grow more because of the person you will have to become in order to
Yes.
keep
Yes.
leading the organization.
No, it makes sense. Yeah, I'm also a healthcare professional leader. So
Yeah,
this organization has taught me how to become a healthcare leader in the professional world too, which has been such a rewarding feeling as well from my side too.
that's awesome.
Thank you. So what has been the most memorable moment in your career so far and why?
Um, I was thinking about that. There were a lot of moments. There was one where this was before we spun out ZSuite Technologies from the bank into its own company, which is basically it's like a fintech software company for the banking industry. And the reason I'm picking this one as the one that stands out is because we had kind of incubated at the bank. It was my baby, and I knew we had to do something bigger with it. I knew we had to like take it out of the bank, raise money, like do all this like stuff. But I was really nervous and I was
Yeah.
really scared to do it because I worried that if it failed, like I don't know, I would just like I was like kind of fearing failure. And it took me a while to kind of like build the courage to say, all right, I got to try it because if I don't, I'm really not going to forgive myself.
Yeah.
It's probably the best thing that ever happened because I have learned so much and grown so much just as far as my own like business understanding and um, entrepreneurial journey from doing that. And I think sometimes like if I didn't take that step, that courage to launch the company, um, I would have been doing a disservice to me, but actually to like a lot of other people. And so what got me over the hump was actually like this YouTube video of Denzel Washington, where he speaks to the University of Pennsylvania commencement. And it's just like phenomenal. But what he talks about are like these dreams deferred, that you don't act on. and how to
Yeah.
like haunt you and stuff. And um, it was just a really inspiring thing. I must listen to it like 20, 30 times, you know.
Yeah.
And I also think like those early mentors, like I kind of built a mentor like around this time, and he was really instrumental to me to like giving me that courage, like, yes, you can do it. I think that's one thing I would tell a lot of young folks, like, you can't do anything on your own. Like
Yeah.
anything you do, there's somebody else somewhere that's kind of like giving you the confidence or helping you or whatever. And there's nothing like building mentors, because they
Makes
can really,
sense.
yeah, really help you.
I've definitely had a lot of mentors in my life. The biggest mentors and the big supporters from my life are my parents, and
Yeah,
they've definitely supported me through everything I've done, including this organization and my work life and my everything that I just basically have done is my parents are like the biggest mentors. So sometimes the mentors could be just sitting at your own home.
that's true. Definitely true. Yeah. And like I'm sure you must feel sometimes when you're feeling low. I mean, it's a roller coaster to try to
Yeah, no, for
start
sure.
something, right? Emotionally, it's like a roller coaster. So to have
Yeah,
someone by your side be like, yeah, you can do it, is huge.
we definitely want that. Speaking about emotions, so young professionals face multiple challenges and stress in present times. Even it impacts their mental health. How would you think that a young professional could overcome this situation? And what do you give for advice when people are dealing with emotions that are low?
I'm a really big believer in meditation. I've been meditating every day for the last 3 years, and it's completely changed my life. Um, I do something called transcendental meditation, or it's called TM, where you're basically in your mind just repeating a mantra. And
Yeah,
uh, but the big effects of it are it's like a way to relieve stress in a way. Like something will happen during the day, your mind will get stuck on it. Then the mind makes like all these stories, and then the stories make you more anxiety prone and more
yeah, no, for sure.
fearful. And before you know, it's like spiraling out of control. And I feel like for me, when I meditate every day, it just takes what happened and just isolates it. Like that's all that happened. There's nothing more, like that's it. And then your mind is like open again. And so I feel like I've been able to accomplish a lot more, take on a lot more responsibility, do a lot more because my mind, since I started meditating, is much more free. And
Makes sense,
like,
yes.
yeah, like a little less things that used to stress me out a lot like 5 years ago. Like now I won't even like think about it. So that's one thing. The other thing I found for me is regular exercise. Just something about like endorphins that are released when you're doing
Yes.
aerobic exercise and the blood movement. I'm regularly, like, if I have a big meeting or important presentation, I will try to work out in the morning, um, and get that sort of like extra clarity and calmness.
Yeah, no, positive mindset happens when you're in a positive well-being. So definitely that promotes a positive impact in the work life too. And I've definitely seen that in the healthcare side of things too.
Yeah, right, right.
So
Are you
thank,
starting to see that that is becoming more of a regimen in the healthcare
yeah.
sector, like things outside of just medicine?
Yeah, so in my hospital, we do have like an insurance base. Like we're from Harvard Pilgrim Insurance, and they do promote well-being classes. My
Okay.
hospital does virtual meditations every Wednesday, so people
Oh,
could come
cool.
in and do meditation because people need to clear their minds sometimes in order to act better and more proactive. So that's what we've been seeing, and I've been seeing such good positive feedback because of that. So it's definitely being promoted in the workspace as well. So, what do you think is the best qualities a professional should have in order to succeed and eventually become a leader?
The the key things are whatever can cause constant learning. Like, so I always feel like no one is born like this perfect leader out of the womb. It's not, doesn't work like that. You So what qualities would help allow you to constantly be improving and constantly be learning? So humility is one, because um, if you have the opposite of humility, which is like, too much pride, it means that you're like closing, you think you know too much, and you're closing off the ability to learn more. So in a lot of the great leaders I've witnessed, I'm shocked at how humble they are.
Yeah.
I'm shocked. They're these very accomplished people, and they go into situations with such an open mind to like, what could I learn from you? And it's so that's super inspiring. Um, I think also obviously like working hard. And then the last is persistence, because like everything takes a long time.
Makes
Nothing
sense.
happens like overnight. You gotta like stick to
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah. And if you stick to something with a humble mindset and constantly learning, like I do think over a long period of time, it's hard to fail. Like that's just such a success formula.
Yeah, success doesn't happen overnight.
Right.
It's through a constant of hard work
Yeah.
and to get to where you are today. So that's really inspiring, and that's what everyone should realize and take when they're a leader. So who inspires you to be a leader and who inspires you the most?
I get a lot of inspiration from my dad, especially in the early days. He came here from India from nothing, and worked up the ranks in the financial industry and started a bank from scratch. And um, he's such a um, yeah, he's been my role model and someone who's inspired me for a long time. But I get a lot of inspiration also from uh, like a lot of different books of different leaders I'll read, or podcasts, or different things like that. Um, like right now, I'm I'm actually trying to learn a lot about. It's funny enough, like bands that have been together for
Oh,
like
wow.
30 plus years. So if you think about like a band like the Red Hot Chili Peppers,
Yeah.
they've been together for like 30 years and they're still performing and doing great. That is such a like Herculean act. So I'm just like curious, like how does that happen? How does that work?
Yeah.
How can you still like go on stage 30 years later with the same band members and not get bored and still be so excited, right? It's like such a formula. So
Yeah.
I find like a lot of those like very simple things like, pretty inspiring.
Wow. Yeah, yeah, that's a really good analogy of how these bands keep together. Yeah, that sounds so inspiring. So I have a little fun question for you. If you could have dinner with any three people, dead or alive, who would they be and why?
Yeah, I think like a really interesting dinner would be like a kind of a mix of people. Um, Probably the Dalai Lama. I think that'd be like a really interesting
That would be
conversation,
actually.
and I, admire him in so many ways. Um, Probably Magic Johnson. I just think he's like such an amazing legend. But so not only does he like have such greatness in how he played basketball, but he's been a mentor to a lot of younger
Yeah.
basketball players. He's done a lot in the business community. I mean, there's so much depth to that person. Um, and going on that Red Hot Chili Peppers, yeah, like Anthony Kiedis, the lead singer of the Red Hot Chili Peppers, like I'd love to learn from him. Like, you know, how does he still do this at like age 60 on like that
Yeah.
type of schedule and have so much fun? And
Yeah.
yeah,
Definitely inspiring, especially to the
yeah,
young professionals as well.
yeah.
So then that's going to be a really fun dinner. I would definitely want to attend that dinner.
I might add one more. I was recently
Yeah.
watching on Netflix this series called the Romantics,
Oh
which is
my
on
God.
Yash Raj Films. Yeah,
I've been obsessed with that
I'd
show.
love to have Yash Raj at the table too. That'd be
He is
great.
so inspiring, and the way
So
he's like very
inspiring.
humble about how has everything is like inspiring
Yeah,
to even me. But yeah, everyone is so obsessed with that show. Everyone's like, "Oh my God, we didn't know how much hard work
amazing.
it takes for Indian cinema to happen." So definitely that's a good
Yeah,
success story as well.
yeah.
So if you could turn back the time clock and talk to your 18-year-old self, what advice would you give to yourself?
I don't know. I probably like to have more confidence and to be like less worried. I think, um, especially it's like Indian Americans here, there was like a lot of pressure growing up, right?
Yeah,
A lot of pressure to perform and do well in school and all that type of stuff. And it's a lot for like
exactly.
young kids. So yeah, probably something that would like help calm my nerves at that age.
No, it makes sense. Yeah, there's also that argument, that Indian stereotype, like someone might say like, "Oh, you got 99%. Oh, where's that 1%?"
Yeah, yeah.
So it's always societal pressures, like you have to maintain an A plus at everything and that 4.0 GPA. So that stress can definitely take a toll on people at such a young age. So what are you looking forward to professionally in the future and why?
I'm looking forward to like continuing to grow the bank, um, continuing to be a part of the ZSuite technologies journey, which has been so much fun. Um, Looking to continue to develop my skills as a leader and an entrepreneur. So I mean, I just think, it's just continuing this journey. Like I don't know where it's going to end up, but I'm
Makes
having
sense,
a lot
yeah.
of fun doing it, and I'm having a lot of fun doing it with the people I work with. And so yeah, so I guess I don't know like what the end destination is, but
Makes
just keep
sense.
keep going on the ride. Yeah.
Makes sense. So in the future scope of things, what do you think about ChatGPT and AI? Is this a hype or will it affect our professional lives going forward? And what are your thoughts? And are you planning to incorporate this into your business?
Yeah, I mean, ChatGPT is so interesting. I've been trying to get familiar with it and play around with it. It's I don't know. I don't know. I think it seems to me that it could change the way we get information, and it can do really complex things really quickly,
Yeah.
right? And so that's super exciting. And I got to imagine that has some like big business impacts um, that could affect almost like every industry. I don't know the specific use cases yet. I don't think a lot of people do because it's so early. Um,
Yeah, makes
so I think
sense.
it's too early for us to say, oh, this is how we're going to use it in our business. We're definitely watching it. We're, trying to learn about it a little bit. Um, I think use cases will start appearing, as people sort of take ChatGPT and sometimes when you have a technology that's so revolutionary that can do so many things, you don't know where to start. So you just sort of like a deer in headlights. So you have to sort of take that like very siloed use case and say, okay, this will do this, and then this will do this. So as those come out, I think we'll start to see some really interesting results. But it may be too early to say how we will use it in our business at the moment.
No, yeah, makes sense. Actually, when my boss learned about AI, he was like, "Oh my God, now I can learn how to write grants with it. Now I can have this make emails for me." So he was like very excited. But with the consequences of that, it's gonna lose jobs and people are gonna use AI to take over people's positions. Like for example, like grant writing, it could replace that and people can just chug it in an AI and then have it be done in like 3 seconds or less. So I feel like this is going to be a big toll in the future world as well.
Yeah, I think there's always this concern as long as I've been working, like, oh, this new technology came out, this new software came out, it's it's going to eliminate jobs. And well, 30 years later, we have the lowest unemployment rate we've ever had. So it's like
Makes
it
sense.
does replace some jobs, but it also opens up like a lot more jobs. Like,
Yeah,
yeah, like could it make grant writing a little easier? Sure. But then there will be a person like who will become an expert in managing the AI
yeah, like a
so
dev
that it can do that, right? And like
for
this
sure.
opens up a whole nother avenue. It might close the door on a couple, but I always believe like, yeah, the jobs, there's always going to be a lot of jobs. They're just going to change form.
Makes sense. So yeah, no, this is definitely something that will be very interesting to see for the future. So many young professionals are currently looking for jobs. What advice would you give them to successfully get their dream job?
Yeah. Okay. On this one, I think the first move you make is really important because that direction, that first step often is that direction you end up for the next 20 years. Meaning, like if you want to really be in healthcare, but you sort of like, you know, take another job in a different industry just because it's like paying you a lot at the moment. You tend to keep following that path. So my advice is like really hold out and take the first step in the direction you want to be. Like if your dream is to make a movie, don't try to go to like be a doctor or something just because
Yeah.
it pays the bills and say, all right, then I will do that one day. Like wait and take your first step in your general direction. I think a lot of people, for the sake of like making a little extra money, sacrifice their dream, and money can be made in anything, but it's hard to pivot later.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. It's much easier to do something that you're more passionate about
Yeah,
rather than chasing the money because money will follow you wherever your passion is.
totally.
Yeah, no, that's a great advice for young professionals. So, what personal trait do you look for in a candidate while interviewing him or her for a job position in your organization?
Yeah, no, I think we talked about a couple of these before. I would say the same, like humility, hard work, um, ability to learn quickly. If it's a young person, those are important.
Makes
If
sense.
I'm hiring for like a specialist role where they need a lot of experience, then I'm really more checking for like their technical capability and like stuff like that. But if it's a young person, you just basically want to make sure like they're open to learning, they can learn quickly, and they can work hard and have a good attitude. That's all really you can ask for.
Yeah, no, makes sense. In times like today, it's important to adapt to today's technology and
Yeah.
adapt to different like learning skills or learning objectives because that people have different learning backgrounds, but it's very easy and very, I would say, inspiring or easy to say that people need to be adapting to today's culture.
Yeah, and if you're working for a fast growing organization, the means the organization is growing fast is doing new stuff all the time to sustain that growth. But if the person isn't also growing, the challenge is the organization might outgrow them. So you have to just be very open to adapting and change and all that stuff.
Exactly. Yes. No, for sure. So on that note, as a little last word, what advice would you like to give to the young Indian professionals in the New England area?
Yeah, I think like my big thing, for young Indian professionals is I felt growing up there with my friends. There's always like a lot of pressure to do some sort of career that's like socially acceptable. You know what I mean, right?
Yeah,
Like lawyer, doctor, engineer, something like that. And for some people, like they're meant to be in those areas, and that's great. But there's so many amazing jobs out there, you know, like, and so it makes me sad when I see someone that's not pursuing their dream. So I hope everyone pursues their dream. Like they can, like I think they can make money in any of one of those things. They should
exactly.
really pursue their dream that fulfills them versus like what society thinks.
Yeah, no, that's an amazing thing. I feel like people should be passionate about what they want to do
Yeah.
rather than what the society wants them to do.
Yeah. It's cool to see like Indians now in almost every facet, like M. Night Shyamalan, and we've got athletes and people in Congress, and like, that's what we need. We need our next generation to be leaders in all facets of the economy, right?
Makes sense. Yes. No, yeah, for sure. I see a lot of Indian culture being represented even on Netflix too.
Right.
So I definitely love the Indian representation that's going on, and I feel like we should have more in the American culture and community as well. So I definitely think that people should be passionate and go for whatever they want to do. So thank you so much for doing this interview and talk show and being a guest on the talk show. This was been an absolute delight. Thank you so much for being part of this and inspiring the youth today and inspiring even me as well.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Niharika, and great, great. I hope I get to see you in person at some point. But
Yes, for
best
sure.
of luck to everyone who's watching, and thanks again.
Thank you so much.